Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. Let's talk about this new computer that NASA and Google are going to be sharing, I guess. The Quantum Artificial Intelligence Lab is receiving some hardware here, a joint project between Google, NASA, and the University Space Research Association. They are going to install a D-Wave 2X, a state-of-the-art quantum processor released earlier this year with over 1,000 qubits. Now, I don't really know how to translate qubits. I hear qubits, but I don't know how fast that is compared to what we have in our computers.
Yeah, I was kind of reading about this actually last week. I'm finishing up this book, The Information, by James Gleick, science writer, and it's all about sort of the history of information transfer and cybernetics and so many other things. And it actually talks about qubits, and I still came away without a very clear understanding of exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit complicated. I guess because of how fragile qubits are, the processor has to operate at very cold temperatures. And the standing operated temperature for this one is less than 15 millikelvin. Now, Dave, this is, if you could look this up if you want to convert it, it's probably pretty easy to convert as compared to qubits. But this is a temperature that is colder than outer space. So 15 millikelvin.
It is minus 459.643 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so I'm not sure what type of room or container this computer is going to be in.
Exactly.
But you have to maintain that type of temperature. So I think it's clear that this is all a very expensive project. But Google certainly has the capital to ensure something like this happens. And so what are they going to use it for? Well, I guess just things you need tons of computing power on, optimization problems, whatever. It's an impressive piece of technology, but it's hard to get into the details. When I looked up qubits, it was just very difficult for me to I don't know, like I said, to kind of find out what type of speeds we're talking about and what qubits generally are just it's a binary system, right? So I think in some ways it's very similar, but what does 1,000 qubits mean? I still don't know. So if you could tell us, that would be great. I'm sure there are some people listening who have done a bit more research into this and are aware of this.
And Lewis, just to be clear, so qubit is an amount of information. It's not a speed.
Right. But, when it says 1,000 qubits, what does that even mean? I still don't know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we're still essentially talking about a speed here. How quickly is it processing, our 1,000 qubits processed? That's the capacity. But I don't know. It's foreign to me. And it's a cool word, though, qubits. I kind of like that. Anyway, quantum computing. Will there be a day when we have quantum computers as desktop computers?
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. Maybe not. It could go in a different direction, right? We have DNA computing. We have other options.
So let's say it a different way. There will no doubt be a day where personal computers will be equivalent to or superior to what we now consider these quantum computers.
Yeah. There's only one direction to go, Dave. That's up. The technology will improve and increase, well, unless there's some cataclysmic event, in which case
all bets are off.
All bets are off. That could happen. So I want to talk quickly about what the Pope said about the Kim Davis situation. Now, I don't know if the Pope is aware of all the details of the Kim Davis situation, but he was asked about it. And he said that, I'll quote him here, conscientious objection must enter into every what's this word? I guess you could say judicial structure. I have never seen the word used here, but it's like judicial structure because it is a right. Now, that's basically all he said about it. But to me, being a conscientious objector in this situation would mean that Kim Davis would just quit her job.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
the idea that you could be a conscientious objector legitimately by just not following the law in any case means, hey, I object to the idea that it should be illegal to kill others. So I am going to object to that by killing people, right? It's absurd at its face. And you're completely correct. The respectable move, I mean, I wouldn't respect it ideologically, but at least I would respect it with regard to the law, would have been for Kim Davis to say, I'm quitting my job. I'm quitting my job. That would have been the respectable move within the context of sort of the options she had as someone with bigoted beliefs that I don't at all agree with, not to start breaking the law. No question about it.
Or find some way to get these people their licenses without her direct involvement or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think this is, if you are World War II, there was a draft, right? And you had conscientious objectors. Maybe not in World War II, but certainly in Nam.
Yeah.
I don't know about the details of World War II in that department. But that, I think, was available to you. And a little bit of a different situation, though.
Yeah, but I think the point still remains, which is if you have if you're a conscientious objector to the war in Vietnam, you ideally just communicate that, and then you're put into certain positions stateside, often working in healthcare or whatever. You don't go, but then object by allowing your fellow soldiers to be killed when you could have prevented it, or whatever. Maybe this is a bad example, but it's the same thing. You object by removing yourself from the situation altogether.
Yeah. And that's what Kim Davis should have done. So anyway, the Pope chiming in on Kim Davis, and I'd be curious to know his thoughts on it if he did know all the details. And I have a feeling that he would probably say she should have resigned or she should have quit. Because he does seem like, from what we've heard from him lately, it seems like that would probably be his answer. Maybe not. Anyway, Dave, do you want to fill us in on what's going on right now?
Yeah, so Boston update, if you've been not paying attention for the last 6 to 8 months, the show is moving to Boston and out of New York City. We have secured the location where the show will be produced in Boston. We are now anticipating that it will become available to us sort of towards the middle or end of next week. That's as of right now. That's already been pushed back from October 1st. So hopefully that will happen. Lewis will be moving personally to Boston at the end of this week. And so for the next week or two, Lewis will be joining us from a very rudimentary setup at his new apartment in Boston, and it's going to look different temporarily. Lewis should sound the same, although the background will be different. We don't yet know what it will be, Lewis.
Well, it's not going to be this. I can tell you that. There just really is not enough room for it. So it's going to be pretty crude, and I hope the lighting situation is okay because my space will be quite limited. But I do think that I will at least be able to communicate, and we will be able to do the show. Of course, if you are listening, this will be of no concern to you.
Right. If you're only listening, it should be no different at all. And
perhaps we should encourage everyone to just listen to the show that week. But if you like staring at Dave's hair and trying to figure out what's going on there, just watch the show.
Yeah. So then you would say, well, that's great. Then at the end of next week, we'll be in the new studio. Not really, because the other sort of time crunch we're having is the place I'm moving into personally is also not quite ready yet. I'm going to be out there this weekend seeing what the deal is and so on and so forth. If we're lucky, Lewis, I'd potentially be able to move in also at the end of next week. The only problem is if it goes beyond next Friday, over the weekend I'm away, and then right after Columbus Day, I am headed to Las Vegas for the first Democratic debate on Tuesday the 13th, and then I will be at Mike Papantonio's conference for the rest of that week. So the ideal scenario would be that we can move into the new studio before that. Lewis can be at the new studio. I can be, we're finalizing our mobile broadcast setup. I can be in Vegas with that and join Lewis remotely with Lewis at the new studio, which will have the capability to bring people in from remote locations like me in Vegas. The alternative, Lewis, would be that we would sort of have to centralize the production in Vegas with my computer as opposed to at the new studio, and Lewis would potentially join me. And that's far more complicated, right? The ideal scenario would be that you're in the new studio by that week and I join you, rather than me running sort of the production from Vegas and you joining me. It might sound like the same thing to the audience, but they're actually very different setups from a technical standpoint.
It would be a far more stable and reliable if I were doing that from the studio with the equipment we have there. So yes, it is not ideal for Dave to be doing that. And it's going to be a rough few weeks, I think we can say with certitude.
Right. We also just found out that we're getting a nice new news desk made for the new studio, but it's realistically not going to be ready until probably around November 1st. So when we do make it to the new studio, maybe it will be around the end of next week. Maybe it will be not for another week or two after that. We will have probably a very unsightly temporary desk, which isn't the end of the world, but things are not going to be in their final form, so to speak, until early to mid-November. Then Lewis has a vacation also, so it's all in flux. But what we do is every single day we basically figure out, all right, what can we do today? And that's basically all we can do at this point.
Yeah, I mean, even once we're in the studio and officially doing our thing with the new set and the new desk and all of that, I mean, it may not look the same. That first week may look different from the next week as we tweak things and fine tune things and try to get the look we want.
Right.
Because we're not going to have a whole lot of time to perfect it. And so it's, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to it because I know how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be. And I know we're going to be in a time crunch. And I'm almost never stressed out, but I'm already starting to feel it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing might be there could be a period where you can get into the studio before we're broadcasting from there, right?
Yeah.
There might be a week period where I am still broadcasting from the current studio. You're in your temporary setup in your new apartment, but you can be sort of building out the new studio. And that might actually allow us, to do that in a less time crunched way.
Yes, that would be good. We'll see. It's going to be a pain, but that's it. Dave, your hair looks great today.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.